Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us. And the headlines this morning: Professor Amopitan declares end to era of endless court battles as INEC targets polling unit victories. EU restates commitment to deepening ties with Nigeria. Governor Sanwo-Olu calls for United African Front against human trafficking. INEC extends PVC collection in Anambra ahead of governorship election. Court dismisses trustee's suit against Lagos Attorney General and Inspector General of Police. Abia traditional rulers intervene in feud between Governor Otti and Honorable Kalu. On business news, First Bank demonstrates effective assets and liability management with Eurobond redemption. PTML Customs generates 116 billion naira in Q3. On foreign, 3 killed in Jamaica as island nation prepares for Hurricane Melissa. Gunman pleads guilty to killing Japan's ex-Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And on sports, ex-Wycombe Wanderers boss Martin O'Neill rejoins Celtic. AFC Bournemouth to visit Leyton Orient in FA Cup second round. Now the news. The new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amopitan San, has vowed to dismantle the culture of excessive pre-election litigations that has long plagued Nigeria's democracy. Speaking at the 56th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Association of Law Teachers (NALT) at the University of Abuja, Professor Amopitan said one of the top priorities as INEC chairman was to end the courtroom warfare that often began long before ballots were cast. The INEC boss, who assumed office barely a week ago after being sworn in by President Bola Tinubu, said the electoral umpire would not continue to operate in a system where over 1,000 pre-election cases were recorded ahead of general elections. According to him, the solution lies not in endless legal battles, but in strict adherence to the law, beginning with the political parties themselves. Professor Amopitan, a senior advocate of Nigeria and respected academic, called on the National Assembly to strengthen the country's electoral laws, insisting that the credibility of elections dependent on robust legal frameworks and political parties that practice genuine internal democracy. While acknowledging that some lawyers might not welcome a reduction in election-related cases, he maintained that the move was necessary to restore public confidence and trust in the system. Addressing law teachers, students, and jurists at the conference with the theme Law, National Development, and Economic Sustainability in a Globalized World, Professor Amopitan challenged the academic community to see law as a tool for reform and justice rather than opportunism. Earlier in his remarks, now President and Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Ibadan, Professor John Akintayo, commended the INEC boss's vision, stressing that law remained the backbone of good governance and sustainable development. The chairman of the European Parliament's Committee on Foreign Affairs, Mr. David McAllister, has reaffirmed Nigeria's importance to the European Union and pledged deeper cooperation between both sides. Leading a 6-member delegation on an official visit to Abuja, Mr. McAllister said the mission aimed to strengthen political and economic ties, expand collaboration, and enhance mutual understanding between the EU and Nigeria. He described Nigeria as a strategic partner whose influence across Africa and beyond makes it a key ally in shaping Africa-EU relations. The visit, he explained, was part of the European Parliament's effort to engage directly with partner nations to better appreciate their challenges and opportunities. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yusuf Tugar, welcomed the delegation, noting that the European Union remains a vital partner in trade, security, and development. He said Europe continues to be Nigeria's largest trading partner, with trade volume estimated at more than £31 billion. Mr. Tugar also stressed that Nigeria's cooperation with the EU extends beyond trade to areas such as regional stability, food security, and job creation, describing Europe and Africa as natural neighbors who shared geography and should foster closer relations. A coalition of African leaders, justice officials, and civil society experts has launched fresh efforts to end human trafficking and ritual abuse. Following deliberations at the Made in Africa colloquium against human trafficking held in Lagos, The two-day event, organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Justice in partnership with the Sutro Global Justice Institute of Pepperdine University, focused on developing coordinated strategies under the theme A United Front Against Ritual Abuse and Sacrifice. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, represented by the Secretary of the State Government Barrister Abimbola Saluhundeyin, urged African nations to adopt a unified and strategic approach to crimes that transcend borders. Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Lawal Pedro San, revealed that more than 4,700 victims of trafficking were rescued and supported in Lagos between 2022 and 2024, describing the crimes as increasingly organized and transnational. Chief Judge of Lagos State, Justice Kuzim Aloba, pledged strong judicial action against offenders and stressed the need to challenge the social and cultural beliefs that perpetuate exploitation. The Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Lateef Fagbemisan, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to legislative reforms and closer collaboration with NAPTIP to curb trafficking and ritual crimes. Director General of NAPTIP, Binta El Adamu Bello, highlighted how traffickers exploit cultural fears and spiritual manipulation to control victims, calling for greater community engagement and awareness. The colloquium concluded with calls for strengthened legal frameworks, enhanced victim support, and cross-border cooperation, positioning the initiative as a major continental step toward eradicating human trafficking and ritual abuse in Africa. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has announced the extension of the ongoing collection of permanent voters' card (PVCs) in Anambra State. The extension, according to the Commission, became necessary following appeals from citizens and stakeholders who requested additional time for eligible voters to collect their cards ahead of the November 8th governorship election. In a statement issued by the Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Mrs. Victoria Etamesi, INEC confirmed that the exercise, which was initially scheduled to end on Sunday, October 26, will now run from Wednesday, October 29 to Sunday, November 2, 2025. INEC advised all registered voters yet to collect their cards to take advantage of the extension and visit the designated collection centers across the 326 registration areas in the state. Mrs. Etamesi emphasized that voter cards will be released only to their rightful owners in person. The Commission expressed appreciation to the Anambra residents for their cooperation and enthusiasm since the commencement of the exercise. Earlier on Monday, INEC said Anambra State was fully prepared for the November 8th governorship election after a week-long readiness assessment by a high-level delegation from its headquarters in Abuja. The delegation, led by the National Commissioner for Election Planning and Monitoring, Professor Rhoda Gumus, also included the National Commissioners Sam Olumekun, Dr. Kenneth Ukeagu, and Dr. Baba Bila. The team inspected facilities, logistics, and security arrangements across the states to ensure the Commission's operational preparedness ahead of the poll. Justice Ambrose Lewis Alagua of the Federal High Court Lagos has dismissed a suit filed by the registered trustees of the Auto Spare Parts and Machinery Dealers Association, ASMDA, against the Attorney General of Lagos State and the Inspector General of Police, IGP, describing it as an abuse of court process. The trustees, through their counsel, Barrister A. Yakin, had approached the court seeking several declaratory and injunctive reliefs. Among their prayers is a declaration that the Lagos State government lacked the power to interfere in the management and affairs of the association. They further asked the court to declare that it was ultra-vires for the Lagos State government to act on or rely upon any purported legal advice from the Office of the Inspector General of Police to dissolve or remove the officers or executive council of the association. In response, counsel representing the Lagos State Attorney General, Barrister E.O. Akonde, a director in the Ministry of Justice, urged the court to dismiss the suit. He argued that the application constituted a gross abuse of the court's process. A legal officer at the Force Criminal Investigation Department, FCID, Barrister Morufu Animation, who appeared for the Inspector General of Police, aligned with the submission. They contended that the instant suit was repetitive, vexatious, and an abuse of judicial process. Counsels Akonde and Animation therefore urged the court to dismiss the case with substantial costs. noting that it lacked jurisdiction and was a deliberate attempt to relitigate settled issues. In his judgment, Justice Lewis Alagoa held that the core of the plaintiff's claim centered on the leadership tussle within the registered trustees of the Auto Spare Parts and Machinery Dealers Association. According to him, the same issue had been the subject of previous litigations involving members of the same association, irrespective of difference in the parties. Traditional rulers in Abia State have stepped in to bring an end to the ongoing feud between the governor of the state, Dr. Alex Otti, and the deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. Addressing journalists during a press conference in Umuahia, the chairman of Abia State Council of Traditional Rulers, His Royal Majesty Eze Linus Ntomba, who spoke in the company of other traditional rulers, said they could not remain silent and allow the ongoing exchange of words to escalate into a crisis that might negatively affect the state. He said the council was therefore calling for a ceasefire in the dispute and urging all parties to exercise restraint and avoid unnecessary outbursts. Ezemba also appealed to the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, to refrain from making unverified public statements or comments capable of creating tension between the governor, the president, and the people of Abia State. The traditional rulers also passed a vote of confidence in Alex Otti for what he has achieved within 2 years and a few months in office, and for demonstrating the political will to fix Abia State. Comfort TV, the channel news, will return shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Stay tuned. Many thanks for staying with us. This is Comfort TV, the channel news. Moving to the world of business, we have the First Bank of Nigeria Limited. First Bank has announced that it has redeemed its $350 million Eurobond upon maturity on 27 October 2025. The Eurobond was issued as senior notes in October 2020 at 8.625%, with semi-annual coupon payments, which was 70% oversubscribed at the time, evidencing First Bank's deep market access and investor confidence. The proceeds of the senior notes were used to, among others, finance various customer projects and activities, some of which were of vital national and economic importance. This redemption reflects First Bank's effective liability management strategy and further demonstrates the bank's robust foreign currency liquidity and unrivaled franchise strength, while cementing the bank as a preferred issuer in the international investment community. With this redemption, First Bank has now successfully redeemed $1.275 billion over 4 maturities since its 2007 vintage issue. Commenting on the milestone, CEO of First Bank Group Olusegun Alebi also explained that the redemption was fully funded from the bank's balance sheet, demonstrating First Bank's strong asset and liability management, solid franchise strength, and the continued confidence of the investment community in the institution. Mr. Alebi also reaffirmed First Bank's 131-year legacy as a leader in corporate banking in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. He also assured customers of the bank's commitment to meeting their transaction banking, treasury, and cash management needs through differentiated product offerings powered by recent cutting-edge technological investments aimed at further streamlining its processes and improving customer experience. In recognition of the bank's leadership in corporate and transaction banking in Nigeria, the bank was awarded the Best Bank for Corporates in 2024 by Euromoney, Global Finance, and World Economic Magazine. Still on business, the Port and Terminal Multi-Services Limited (PTML) Command of the Nigerian Customs Service (NCS) generated 106.2 billion naira in revenue for the third quarter of 2025, Q3 25, representing a 34.3% increase from the 86.5 billion naira recorded in the same period of 2024. Customs Area Controller of the Command, Comptroller Joe Anani, disclosed this in Lagos during the Command's third quarter press briefing 6 weeks after resuming office. Comptroller Anani said the Command has so far generated a total of 350.3 billion naira between January and September 2025, which is about 96.6% of the 362.5 billion naira collected for the entire 2024. He attributed the improved performance to enhanced operational efficiency under the Unified Customs Management System (UCMS), also known as Bodogu. The controller disclosed that during the period under review, the command intercepted firearms, including 1 pistol, 2 magazines, and 12 rounds of live ammunition. The command also handed over 40 feet and 20 feet containers of imported pharmaceutical products, including fake antibiotics, to the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. Onto the foreign scene. At least 3 people are dead in Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa, the world's strongest storm so far this year, bears down on the Caribbean island nation. Meteorologists said Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 175 miles per hour, was expected to make landfall in Jamaica. However, the nation has been battered by heavy rains and strong winds. Islanders have been urged to take shelter. Jamaica's Health and Wellness Minister, Mr. Christopher Tifton, reported the 3 storm-related deaths in a recorded statement. He said the 3 deaths were connected with the cutting down of trees, with 1 also involving electrocution. He added that nearly 15 others have been injured amid preparations for the storm, saying most injuries involved falls. The ministry urged the public to exercise caution when climbing roofs, securing sandbags, and cutting trees. Melissa is forecast to hit Jamaica with catastrophic winds, flooding, and storm surge, raising fears over the potential for a humanitarian crisis erupting on the island. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said there are more than 800 shelters open throughout the country, but only 76 have been used by residents, housing 972 people, though numbers are expected to rise as the storm approaches. Democrats on the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee are calling on the State Department to deploy disaster relief assistance to Jamaica and coordinate with local, regional, and international partners to address the effect of the storm when they hit the island nation. Still on the foreign scene, a man accused of assassinating former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe pleaded guilty on Tuesday, nearly 3 years after the daylight killing that stunned the world and shook Japan's sense of security. 45-year-old Tetsuya Yamagami admitted to the shooting during his long-delayed trial in Nara. His lawyers, however, said they would contest some charges, including violations of Japan's arms control laws for allegedly using a handmade gun. The case has reignited debate over Japan's strict gun laws and exposed deep ties between conservative politicians and the Unification Church. A controversial religious group Yamagami blamed for bankrupting his family through massive donations. Former Prime Minister Abe's killing in July 2022 prompted national outrage, ministerial resignations, and a government crackdown on the church. It also led to tougher firearm regulations, including penalties for sharing instructions on making guns online. Yamagami's defense is expected to argue that years of religious abuse in his childhood drove him to commit the attack. Onto the world of sports. Former Wycombe Wanderers manager Martin O'Neill has been named the interim head coach at Celtic following Brendan Rodgers' dramatic departure. The 73-year-old, who was the chairboy boss between 1990 and 1995 in what is regarded as one of the greatest eras in the club's history, was announced as the boys' new man in charge in the late hours of October 27. O'Neill spent 5 years with the Scottish outfit between 2000 and 2005, where he won 7 trophies, 3 of which were league titles. Ex-Wigan Athletic winger and manager Sean Maloney has joined as assistant. The re-arrival of the duo at Celtic Park came one day after the club lost 3-1 away at the top of the table Hearts, leaving them 8 points behind the Jam Tarts in the Scottish Premiership. Tensions have been brewing amongst the board and fans, with principal shareholder Dermot Desmond claiming that Rodgers had created a toxic atmosphere at the club. Rodgers won 11 trophies with Celtic, either side of a spell at Leicester and returned to Glasgow. Still on sports, the Cherries will travel to Leyton Orient in the second round of the FA Cup after they breezed past Millbrook on Sunday. Theatre Bournemouth will be beaten to match the record progress in the Cup and reach the third round, and they will again face 7th-tier opposition after their 11-0 win at the weekend. Helen Blizzard's Cherries are 4 tiers above their next round opponents in the National League Southern Premier Division, while Orient play in the Greater London's Women's Football League Premier Division. Their second-round hosts have a perfect record in the league this season, winning each of their 4 games so far this term. To reach the second round, Orient comfortably beat Farnham Town 8-0 on the road to set up the game against the Cherries, who are unbeaten this season in all competitions. The tie will be played on Sunday, November 23. And that's our news bulletin this morning. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. Professor Amopita declares end to era of endless court battles as INEC targets polling unit victories. EU restates commitment to deepening ties with Nigeria. Governor Sanwo-Olu calls for United African Front against human trafficking. INEC extends PVC collection in Anambra ahead of the governorship election. Court dismisses ASPMDA trustees' suit against Lagos Attorney General and Inspector General of Police. Abia traditional rulers intervene in feud between Governor Otti and Honorable Kalu. On business news, First Bank demonstrates effective asset and liability management with Eurobond redemption. On the foreign scene, 3 killed in Jamaica as island nation prepares for Hurricane Melissa. And on sports, ex-Wycombe Wanderers boss Martin O'Neill rejoins Celtic. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like, subscribe, share our videos, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.